All right. So I got a bit distracted by creating some code that's going to help me pack normals into textures. And this is that file. Wait, you can't see that? Hold on. This is that file. And then here's the main file we've been working on for the OpenGL code, which is getting kind of massive. So before we right now my code is fractionated amongst what almost 4 places, because I have this which I want to put into this, and then I want to like integrate that canvas code from the previous playlist. And then after I've merged all those 3 files, so merge this into this and then merge all of this into the previous playlist code, then I have another code base I haven't shown anyone that I want to integrate as well. So there's a lot of work to do. Anyways, so I'm trying to figure out, what to do next. I like to focus on getting like results that I can see, but I think it's really important right now to take all of this code I've been writing over in this other file, and this was just like a scratch pad of thoughts I had. I need to move all of this over into this. So I need to like start cutting and pasting and just getting it all in place. One object I've made is this, well actually no, this is the bootstrap code, but notice that I've have this new object called array hot, and that's for my array of hot swapping rectangles, which is going to be used to copy data off of the master memory and put it into the isolated memory so that we can easily get snapshots of the different memory blocks and look at them in the shader code to see like what it looks like. So we'll have like different editor modes, and one of our editor modes will be like a memory inspector, and it'll just inspect the different memory segments. Do I have the notes in here? No, it's in the other file, right? So if we kind of scroll around, so not this diagram, nope, not that diagram either. Let's scroll down, look for some more blocks of blue. Yes, this small little diagram right here. So this is the master memory. So I actually might want to make a note of that while I'm here. So there's no indication that this is actually the master memory block, but that is what this is. So this is the master memory. And yes, I spell it like that because of some technical debt reasons. Because you're like, master memory, like where do the 2 M's come from? It's because once upon a time, it was written like master memory, like that, and then I kind of like just split it in half, like this, and that's how we got 2 M's. So it's kind of like just a weird inconsistency, I guess. So yeah, master memory is 2048 by 2048. And sometimes we want to take a section of this memory and we want to put it into the isolated memory, which is 512 by 512, just so that we can look at it in shader code and kind of see like what bits are actually there. And since we're going to set most of our uniforms into this section of the texture, like we're not actually going to use uniforms, we're going to use a texture and pretend those are uniform slots. We're going to be able to swap this section of memory, hot swap it into the isolated memory, and still have the program running, right? It'll just redirect to read from that other texture memory, and we'll be able to look in real time at what the actual values in memory are, right? It's more like it would almost be like a hex editor kind of a view, because we're just looking at pixel colors. But that could be used to diagnose any like very severe problems in the code. Right? Like obviously we can't I can't read binary, and I definitely can't tell you the exact binary value in a pixel color, but there could be gross mistakes that will be very obvious when you just look at the memory block and have a general idea of where everything's supposed to be. Okay, so this, as it is titled, is bootstrap code, meaning I'm not going to copy and paste this. This was just stuff necessary to get all of this code I've been writing, get it running. So yeah, let's start copy pasting everything. So we'll try to find a better place for it, and we'll just highlight it like this. We'll just block it into a solid color, and we will just and let's see, so that was global data. Global data, yeah. So we'll go into... Okay, well, technically these are actually... primitive values, right? They're just numbers. So I'm actually going to make another data container that comes before global data called like global configuration, this thing right here. And so this will actually belong to the global configuration object. Glocon kind of sounds like global controller. That's not what it is. It's just global configuration. I mean, there's still time for me to call it glowfig. But I'm gonna try to stick to the consistency of the first 3 letters of the words to abbreviate. And, maybe that will bite me on some aspects. I don't know. But yeah, let's just... so we have the initialized global container code, so we should go over here, and we have... So we're going to go in order, right? So now we're going to have another thing called... it's still global, but then it's the... wow, I keep on wanting to call that container. You know what? We're just going to call it global CFG. I changed my mind. You know why? Because CFG is a pretty common abbreviation for configuration. Like, if I go on the internet and search for it, like, I probably can find CFG. What are the results? Citizens Financial Group. CFG. Okay, so yeah. So, I mean, maybe it's only common when you're a programmer. So the Wikipedia results on what CFG stands for: China Film Group, City Football Group, Citizens Financial Group, Condor, I don't know, I can't pronounce that. Configuration file. Yeah, let's just go with that. Let's, yeah, alright, and so there's no actual, so the idea is that there's no data structures in here, right? We're not going to call any functions. It's just hard-coded numbers. So it's almost like it's going to be kind of the same as like having defines, except we're kind of like isolating them all into one place. So let's call it global configuration. And I'm going to make some notes about that, because that means that a lot of, because I keep on calling it global container. That's no good. So we're gonna look for anywhere we see Glocon. We're gonna do glow CFG. And this is the idea where I have this general rule of the first 3 letters to abbreviate, so that I don't have to think about how to abbreviate something. But sometimes there's just those exceptions, right? And in a way, that's there's a lot of analogies between how this code is written and how a natural language works, right? A lot of natural languages, right? You learn all these rules, but then there's always these exceptions to the rules in the language, and you just have to be fluent in the language to just know what the exceptions are. So, yeah, I'm just gonna call it glow CFG. Just because I think I'm going to be less likely to make mistakes if that's what I call it. So glow CFG. And then we're going to go up to here. We can actually go into the summary. Glow CFG configuration. Primitive values only. Not allowed. And then we can make a note. So one, function calls structs. So we're gonna keep the rules for this area very strict. We're not gonna allow function calls to be called from within the configuration function. And then the other thing is let's keep that indentation similar. So primitive values only, not allowed function calls and structs. And then we might also want to make allowed constant expressions as int float string. Right, so just making a note of kind of what's supposed to be in here, what we're expecting in here. And this is so we're grouping we're kind of like making these generalized groups of data so that we can better manage the initialization order and dependencies, right? So we're going to initialize this first, then this, and then this, right? So go back in here, and we'll need another object, right? We're going to call it glow CFG, and it's the global configuration, right? And then we can go, okay, so we're already calling it, and I don't believe we actually have the logic written for that. So we're going to go to the function call that comes before it and look for where that is. And we should see that they're all kind of like stacked in here in order. Yeah, we have this kind of comment. Oh, god damn it. You can't. Oh, no, you can see that good. Okay, so you can see this like structure. We're going to try to keep the same visual pattern since all these are supposed to be grouped. The reason I did this is so that I've kind of used the comments to glue together this function and this function, so they're kind of like adjacently glued together. Because I don't want them, I want them to be in this order. It's not appropriate to change their order, right? We want to maintain as much linearity as we can, right? They're supposed to be called in this order, therefore we should display them in this order. Okay, so with that, let's try to get another function on in here. So let's take this, and we're going to copy that and paste that down, and then all we got to do is do that. And while we're at it, we might as well make everything kind of line up the same because I'm OCD, so I notice that this indentation, there's kind of like 3 spaces here, so we will put, we can't get away with this in C code, but, you know, we can in JavaScript, so I'm just going to put 3 semicolons in front of here to get a more desirable indentation. Some people are going to be like, man, what the hell is wrong with you? But whatever, this is the way I do things. Okay, so we're going to call that CFG for configuration, and we are going to enter a new line here, and this will be const expressions only. So this is INI glow CFG, right? Constant expressions only. Okay, now that we have that kind of in place, we want to make sure we haven't broken anything syntax-wise, so we're going to go over here, we're going to refresh really quick, and that looks good. We haven't broken anything. You know, it's pretty trivial a refactor there, but, like, you know, I've broken simpler things in my time, so let's go to the console, refresh. Okay, so everything's looking good, click event handlers. Okay, let's keep on doing this. So we had this highlighted, but we hadn't really moved it yet, so let's go and move that. So it goes in here for initting the global configuration. And you'll notice that there's a very specific reason as to why these are kind of all like grouped this way. Now, do I really want this prefix? That just leaves. I have less space if I do that. Let's just throw them all in an object, right? Well, we need an object anyway. So var glow cfg equals, and we're gonna just define the inlined object right here. Oh. Yep, and I'm gonna do this, because, you know, I just, I get kind of sick of worrying about where my commas are. So I'm just gonna put this at the very top of the struct. We can, like, delete it later, but let's just put that in there for now so that we can just move on with this code. Okay, and then object dot, so unlike global data, like, all of the global configuration should be immutable. It should not be able to be changed. Now, yeah, I mean, you could think of ways where, like, maybe you would want to, like, have, like, a reset button on the game and be able to change the initial, like, boot up values or something. But that's going to be way too much effort and add unnecessary complexity to the code. Let's keep it simple. These are constant expressions. These are basically like defines. So object.freeze, and we're gonna freeze the global configuration object. Then we can return the global configuration object. There we go. So now that we've kind of like moved that over, let's make sure that it's still running. So going back over here, and we're gonna refresh really quick. And we missed some type of token somewhere, so let's go look for where that is. Oh yeah, so, you know, when you're pulling things and, you know, reorganizing them, sometimes you forget. So let's get rid of the... Right, and so you'll notice that these variables, like another and SDFJLSJ, bullshit variables. But this is just for me to, like, get out kind of some thoughts of how things are going to work. So I may remove and add these, but it's just like a little, it's still like a sketch of where I think things should go. Let's go over here, let's refresh, and we still have a problem, and that's because equal signs. So let's change those equal signs into colons. Okay, and now everything seems to be running again. Okay, cool. Going back here, we had that section highlighted, so we can not worry about that. So function init global configuration. The section in here we've already kind of done. Oh, hold on. We've already kind of done this part, right? But we haven't, this stuff is not in there. So let's take out that, and let's go back to our global configuration stuff, and let's just put this somewhere. I don't know if it's more or less important than the other stuff. Though it seems to, these things I'm pretty certain are going to stay around, so let's, we can get rid of this little placeholder now. And now let's go back, let's run it, make sure it's working. Okay, it's still working, and we'll take all of this now, and we'll just make that orange init global. Okay, we've already kind of made that note. Okay, so now we have this, like, constructor function, and it's like